Hi there. Now in this video we're going to learn more about functions. We're going to talk about function declaration and function expression. Okay, so what's the difference? So this is from the previous video. So this is a typical function. This is called function declaration. Okay, we are declaring a function. Now the problem with the function declaration is that this becomes hoisted. What I mean by hoisted, it becomes available in the global execution context. So in JavaScript, what happens is code begin executing from top to bottom, right, line by line. However, when you create a function like this, this total becomes available in the global execution context, just like saying variable color equals to red. So this becomes available in the window object. So in a global execution context, the same thing happens when you use the function declaration like so. That is the reason why, for example, let's say if I use this console log and put on top, okay, the function is there and I'm already invoking the function. So that this shouldn't work because JavaScript executes line by line. So this shouldn't work. However, this works. This works, and the reason it works is because it is available in the global execution context. That's why this works. However, if we use function expression, okay, so function expression is just take the name off and then just leave it as anonymous function and assign it to a variable. Now this function is just like a value for this variable. Okay, so this way of writing is function expression. So function has been expressed here as a value. So this is a this is called function expression, and the one we had before, the typical function, was a function declaration. So it is recommended to always use the function expression as much as possible because you don't want the functions to get hoisted in the global execution context unless a typical situation, you know, most of the time this is what you want. This is a recommended way in many cases. Okay, so for example, if I have this function expression and I have invoked the function before the execution reaches this one, this is below, this is on top. Let's see what happens, and we get this error: the total is not a function. Okay, so that's because it hasn't reached, the execution couldn't reach here because it encountered the function here and couldn't find any function because there's no function ahead of this one, right? So that didn't work. However, if you put it below, then it works fine because, yeah, when it reaches here, it knows that, okay, the function has been written here. So when you want to call the function, no problem. Okay, give it a try. Yeah, no problem. So that's the difference between function declaration and function expression. Okay, so this is how you write function expression. Now another thing to keep in mind that in JavaScript, functions are just like variables. Okay, so that's why functions can be used any place, any other value can be used. Like here, for this variable, we use this function as a value. Okay, so let me give you another example where we can pass function as arguments and even written function as the result. Okay, so that's how flexible functions are. You can use it as a value, even pass it to another function as arguments, you know. So let's give it a try. What I want to do is let's create function calling a function. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to take my function, my func, and then my args. Okay, so I'm creating a function that will take the function and take the arguments. Okay, and then what it will return is it will return another function. So it will return this function which it got as argument, and this function will have these arguments. Pretty smart, this one. So I created a function. This function takes another function as argument and more arguments so that they could be used to this function as well. So when it returns a brand new function, the function that it got as an argument, and also this function requires arguments, so those arguments are also taken as arguments. Okay, so let's create another function add, let's say 100. Okay, add 100. This function will simply add 100. Okay, return num plus 100. So whatever number you pass, it adds 100. So this is another function. Now what I can do is, let's say a result variable, and then I call this function. Okay, this is calling a function, and this is a main function. This function takes the function and arguments and return a new function and arguments, right? So what I can do is call that function and pass this function, add 100 function. Okay, I give so anything you pass, it will add 100, this function, and I give some more arguments. For example, let's say 1000. Okay, so let's see the result. Console log result. Okay, so what do you think we get in the result? Let's see. Add 100 is not defined. Add 100. Yeah. Copy, paste. And as you can see, it's 1100. So we gave 1000, but it added 100. So what happened here is we have this function, we use that function. This function takes the function and arguments. So it takes the function, so I give this function. This function, what it does, it returns 100. All the time it returns 100. That's what it does. I added more argument. Now this argument works as this argument. So when it returns, when this calling a function returns the function that it gets, and the arguments that you pass to that function. So as a result, we get to see 1100. So it sums up. Okay, so that's how we can use a function as values. All right, so just give it a try. Try writing this function a few more times so that you are fully comfortable, and then we can move on to the next one. All right, thank you.